Cagney, and he is the star of The Public Enemy.
Mm-hmm.
Also a gangster movie, also Warner Brothers. This one is directed by our old pal, William Wellman, who did Wings.
Yes.
I think I like this more than Little Caesar. I think it's a better written movie. It doesn't have quite that level of just like uncut gangsteriness to it, but I think it has like more going on under the hood, sort of.
Even it's a more complex movie.
It's a similar movie, but I think it has more going on, and I think it's less kind of cartoonish.
Yeah, I like this movie, but like I definitely like Little Caesar better because like I just love
because of the cartooniness.
Yeah, because it's like this such a heightened, like I think just because of the script, honestly, like this movie is like more well written as far as like, you know, characters have better motivations and they're more complex, and Little Caesar is more well written as far as just like, how did you sit down and write all of this dialogue? Like, it's so incredible.
Yeah. And I think that kind of goes for like the lead performances and like the main characters, right? So like, I think Tom, the main character of Public Enemy, Tom Powers, which is a great name. Not quite as good of a name as Little Caesar, but this movie opens with him and his best pal as little kids in 1909, which is kind of a cool, you know, it has this like progression across like multiple decades kind of leading up into the main bulk of the movie. And we meet our kind of two lead characters as two little stinkers causing trouble on the streets, sliding down escalators and stealing beer. And there's kind of a funny behind the scenes thing where like the kid actors, so initially the two lead actors of this movie, Cagney and the other guy whose name I forget, were going to play the opposite roles, but they switched at some point in production because they were like, wait, Cagney is actually way better and should be the lead of this movie. But they didn't switch the kid actors. So the kid actors were cast to look like the adult actors, but they're switched. So it's like each of the kid actors looks like the other one, kind of. I mean, it's not like a perfect resemblance, but it's like, it's just a funny thing where like the kid actors look like the opposite guy, you know?
When I was watching this, like I was watching a story about kids and I recognized that the next people that I was seeing who were adults some years later were supposed to be those kids, but I was like, I don't remember who's who. Whatever. Right, yeah. One of them was one of them. You know?
Right. They're both kind of interchangeable. In the opening scene, they are kind of just like, they're both, you know, little rat kids. There is, I think, a Little Caesar, right, is like, we meet him, he's already like a hardened criminal who's like, I'm in this for the money and for the power, and I that's all I want to do. I think starting this movie with the characters as kids lets us see kind of like what sort of like
how things went wrong,
right? Like how the circumstances of their lives kind of like pushed them in this direction in a way that they didn't really feel like they had any other way out of. It feels kind of more sympathetic towards the criminal element, I guess, in that way. And so we meet Tom has a mean cop for a dad who beats him, and it's like his dad, the only scene we ever see his dad with is him abusing him, basically.
Right.
And so it's like the dad only communicates to Tom through violence, so that's like that becomes the only language that he knows, right? Yeah, you like that? A common trope, you know, it's like, that's what happens. But I think it thankfully doesn't really overplay that in the movie. It's like, it's one scene of him coming home and his dad beating him, and just that is enough to be like, yeah, I get this guy more than I would otherwise.
Right.
One, his sort of like very anti-authoritarian streak, and also his sort of like how quickly he will resort to violence later in the movie, because it's just like it's ingrained in him. And so the two young lads meet a local fence named Ol Putty Nose, or Putty Nose, not Ol. I put the Ol on there.
What's a fence?
Fence is a guy who sells stolen goods, or is sort of an in-between to sort of get rid of stolen goods.
All right.
And we flash forward to the lads are a little bit grown up. They're now played by adult actors. And Putty Nose brings him in on a job and gives him a gift from Santa Claus, which is 2 revolvers. And they're there to steal furs. Tom sees a big stuffed bear behind one of the furs and freaks out and shoots it, as you do.
It's kind of silly.
It's kind of silly. It is kind of silly. And so then the cops hear the shots and they shoot the Limpy Larry, who's the lookout. And as they're escaping, they shoot the cop that's after them. And there's a great chef's kiss shot. Like, we see them just running into a dark alley, and the cop runs after them, and then just gunshots go off.
Mm-hmm.
Tom and his buddy Matt run out, and then we cut to just a close-up of a hand holding a revolver, presumably the police officer who chased them. And it's and that's like the end of the scene fades out like on that.
Dying. Yes.
It's just like so perfectly composed. It's a great shot.
This, I guess, is like, speaking of their names, like the other one is very much an Italian mob thing, and this is like an Irish mob.
Right.
Situation.
Yeah. A lot of patties and such.
Yeah. Patties and putties.
Yeah. I don't know. Is Powers really an Irish name? I don't know. Then Putty Nose kind of betrays them. He like doesn't let them back into the hideout because they got heat on him. Right, we flash forward again to 1920. Prohibition started. There's a great scene of like all the liquor stores like selling out all their stuff before midnight.
This is like one of
filling up baby carriages and like milk trucks and
fantastic.
I assume all things real people did.
I really like this part because like we have seen surprisingly few instances of prohibition being covered in movies.
It's funny. I'm kind of surprised at how much prohibition stuff like how explicitly movies from the prohibition era are just like, oh yeah, everyone's drinking.
Yeah.
I guess this movie acknowledges it because I think we've seen drinking in tons of American movies.
Tons of American movies post-prohibition, and it's either like it was set 10 years ago where people could drink, or it's set in Europe where people could drink.
True. And I guess that's part of it.
Nothing is said of it.
Well, it's High and Dizzy, right? That's like 1920. That's like
the only other one that I can think of is High and Dizzy that actually like acknowledges prohibition.
I mean, this movie is crazy. Very explicitly about prohibition.
Right. But like I think I really love the depiction of like the last night of liquor being allowed. This mad rush. Yeah, the baby stroller full of whiskey is great.
It all feels like maybe it's all made up, but it feels like things that would have actually happened. Probably not all on the same block at once like it's shown in the movie, but it feels like all those things were true stories that someone cribbed and put into the script.
Mm-hmm.
I think we should take some time at some point just to be like, I think James Cagney is very good in this movie. This is like, he had been in stuff before this, but this is like his breakout. This is his first like big lead role. And I do think he has a bit more of a kind of like naturalistic way of acting than Edward G. Robinson in Little Caesar anyway.
Yeah. I mean, he feels like a real person in this movie. And it is true that, I don't know if the acting, like, I don't know if it's like, I think Best Acting Award goes to Peter Lorre in this episode. But like, he's doing a very good job, and people doing a very good job is still a little rare right now.
Right, yeah. And I think also just things I notice about his performance in this is like, he has a lot of really great physicality and like business. Like, if he's doing a scene of something, he's usually, like, kind of doing something else at the same time. Or, like, he has great little, like, flourishes of things that he does.
Yeah, like, he'll kind of, like, affectionately, like, nudge people on their chin with his fist.
Play punches, which then his mom does to him at some other point in the movie. And, yeah, just, like, in a scene, like, you won't necessarily, like, always, like, look where... Like, I feel like so many actors, like, walk into the scene, they're staring straight ahead. They're like, nope, I'm going to say my line. I'm going to, it's like, it's a bit stilted. It's a bit stagey. Whereas I feel like Cagney walks in a room and he's, like, looking around and he's, like, picking stuff up and doing, he's, like, he's very busy, but in a good way. In a way that, like, it's like, he's acting like a person. And then there's the famous part of this movie where he shoves a grapefruit in someone's face, which is just... It's apparently was very shocking at the time.
Which is kind of crazy because this scene, I don't know, I feel like it's so, oh my god, like, yeah, he's a scumbag and he gets in an argument with his girlfriend and then he shoves a grapefruit in her face, and I heard about it and I was like, oh, it sounds like super violent and horrible, like getting it in her eyes and stuff. And I watch it and just like takes a thing and puts it in her face. I'm like, okay,
he just kind of slaps it in her face. But I think part of it was that like there's conflicting stories about that scene, and it seems like there was some element of like he wasn't supposed to do it as forceful, or like there was some element of like it was unexpected in that take, where it's like he was supposed to mime it, but he actually like hit her face with it or something. I don't know what it was. It does seem tame now. It's like having like a grapefruit put, not even like shoved in your face, just kind of like slapped in your face.
Just kind of like mushed into your cheek. Yeah. I mean, you know, it's still not a good thing to do. It's still not nice.
Don't do it. Do not condone grapefruit smushing on this show.
Grapefoot is the I don't know, the French cousin of Bigfoot. he walks around wineries.
He walks around. Well, they got to hire him for the winery to crush all those grapes with his big feet.
Oh my god, it's perfect.
So a very good scene a bit later on is Tom's out on the town at a typical 1920s party with lots of streamers at it. And they see Putty Nose, their old boss, Putty Nose, who left him at the dry when the coppers were after him. And so they like follow Putty Nose home and put the clampers on him and are like, come inside, we're coming inside with you. And Putty Nose knows what's up. He's like, even though they're talking in like gangster speak of like, no, we just want to have a nice conversation, he's like, you know. And eventually they like go inside to his apartment, and Putty Nose is like really realizing he's about to be murdered, and he's like, please, I don't want to die. And James Cagney has this great line delivery where he's like, oh, so you don't want to die. Like, oh, big man over here doesn't want to die.
Yeah, he really he does feel like a more real life like bad person. Like
right. It's like we can kind of see he has more of an arc, right? Where it's like we can kind of see him getting further and further like down this road, and we see his behavior changing to like the more like sadistic side of him comes out more and more.
Mm-hmm.
And another great use of sound in this movie is it pans away from Tom and Putty Nose to Matt, who's like at the door, and we just hear Tom shooting Putty Nose, and then because he's sitting at the piano, we just hear all the keys, like the of a body landing on the piano, and I'm like, that is great. I don't know if they were deliberately trying to be like, we can't show murder in this movie, but they do a really good job of like artfully not showing actual violence occurring.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it reminds me of a scene that was in M where there are some people getting like tortured. There's somebody getting like tortured for information, and there's like a crowd of people watching it.
Yeah.
And as it kind of gets more intense, he's about to get like hit or attacked or whatever. The crowd kind of gathers in so you can't see what's happening, and then you hear just a scream from behind the crowd, and the crowd pulls back out again.
Yeah.
A lot of nice, like, hiding of violence, I guess. Yeah. Or artful, I suppose.
There's a scene that I found very funny, or just kind of absurd, where one of their, like, big gangster pals is named Nails Nathan. And Nails Nathan is killed when, because he likes to ride horses, he falls off his horse and is kicked in the head by a racehorse. And so what does Tom do? He's like, well, we can't have any of that. And so he goes down to the track and murders the horse for revenge.
He's like, how much is this horse worth? 1,000? Here's 1,000. And then he walks over the horse and shoots it.
Yeah.
Great.
Again, they don't actually show that. He just like walks into the stall right where the horse is, and we hear a gunshot and he comes out. Setting the precedent for all time that gangsters hate horses and will murder them at any point. But I just think that's such like a funny like gangstery thing of like, our friend was killed, it was an accident, a horse kicked him, and they're like, we'll take care of the horse. Like
This movie does end in a very shockingly violent way.
Yes.
Which I was pretty astounded by. Like, Nails dying kind of like leaves a sort of power vacuum.
Mm-hmm.
And so a rival gang starts taking over the territory that used to belong to Nails and his crew. And part of that involves...
It's not safe for you. You gotta hide out in a safe house for a couple of days while the boss smooths things over. And so... they go to another sort of pre-code thing is this movie. Tom gets like seduced by the boss's Moll, his girlfriend. He gets like...
Now's the opportunity for you to really break out a lot of this lingo, huh?
Yeah, he gets like super drunk and the girlfriend is seducing him, and it's sort of like, we don't see anything really, but it's like they like fall into bed and the light goes out. And then the next day she's like, so how was it? And he's like, what are you talking about? I can't remember anything. Very bad. Yeah, don't do that. But that is like, at least acknowledging that like sex is a thing that people do feels like, without it being directly. Like, right. Without it being as much of a just sort of like winky thing of like, they get as close to kind of showing it as they probably could, even in pre-code times.
Right.
I feel like Hell's Angels also kind of was like right up against it, of sort of like, we're not actually going to show any sex happening, but it's like, go against the constraint as much as possible. In Hays Code movies, I feel like they would have to be more, there'd be more like innuendo around that. It'd be more sort of like...
Probably very light innuendo.
Yeah, but that's the thing is like, Hays Code movies tend to have like a lot of innuendo dialogue in ways that are like way steamier than... like this scene is, right? Like there's a scene in, I forget what the dialogue is, but there's a scene in The Big Sleep that is like, it's just dialogue, and it's like, oh my, like it's someone turning the heat up in here, like what's going on? But that feels like a notable scene for like a pre-code movie to have.
True, yeah. I some of the most like, excluding some kind of European stuff. Yeah. Like the sort of most like
European stuff. They're going way further than that.
It's some of the most like direct like reference to sex that we've seen. It's not like it's completely unambiguous what happened.
Yeah. Partially because of that, Tom was like, I gotta get out of here. And so him and Matt leave the safe house before they were supposed to. Unbeknownst to them, there is an ambush set up with a bunch of giant World War I machine guns across the street and a coal truck to hide the sound, which is also this is a great bit, right? Where they're going outside and like the coal truck starts dumping coal and they're like, oh, someone's shooting at us. And they're like, oh no, it's fine. It's just all that coal falling. And then they unload the machine guns at him. And Matt gets blasted. But Tom gets away.
Right. And then he goes for revenge against the enemy gang, as he did with the horse.
Right. But because they took his gun when he went to hiding, he has to get a new gun, or guns, plural. So he goes to a gun store and acts like an idiot. And he's like, what are guns? How do those work? Can you show me? And the guy's like, sure, here's a gun. And he's like, how did the bullets go in the gun? And he's like, oh, you got some bullets? It's like, I happen to, right here in my pocket. And then it's like, just put them right here in the thing. And then he's like this? You mean like this? And so he loads the whole gun up. Then he's like, put your hands up. I'm taking this other gun. Which is, I'm sure, a thing that America, a lot of problems with guns. Not a fan. I don't think it's that easy. No,
there's a reason why they keep ammo and guns in a separate place.
I don't think you can go to a gun store and be like, "Hey, I'm dumb. Can I practice putting bullets in this gun?"
Go ahead, make my day.
Tell
them I didn't paint blast.
There's a very similar scene to this in the movie The Rover with Guy Pearce, where he's like buying a gun on like the black market from a guy, and he's like, "Is it loaded?" And the guy's like, "Oh yeah," and then he just shoots it.
So yeah, he walks into the enemy hideout.
But this scene is so good, is the thing. I feel like just describing it doesn't do it justice, because it's got like the pouring rain, And he's like waiting outside and he like watches everyone go in. And then there's
it's good.
Probably the best shot in the whole movie, which is this like tracking shot of him walking towards camera through the rain with like his hat pulled low and his hands in his pockets with his 2 guns. And then again, he like walks in and we don't actually see any of the gunfighting. We just hear all the gunshots go off, and then he kind of stumbles out and we hear like agonized screams in the background.
Yeah.
Of like people dying from injuries, which is a pretty intense. It is that sort of thing. It's like, they're not showing violence, but they're planting it in your head really effectively.
They use some kind of strategic like drips of blood in places as like their one kind of violent thing they can do. Yeah, Tom stumbles out and collapses and wakes up in the hospital. Mm-hmm. Kind of realizes that his life has kind of gone off the rails. I think a little bit,
yeah.
His family visits him and he like apologizes for being a scumbag.
Yeah.
And that he takes some time to recover in the hospital.
But then the rival gang kidnaps him from the hospital.
Yeah, and so his family is kind of excited to have him back. They're like, "Oh, our son's nice now." And,
right. Yeah.
And
he's remorseful.
They hear that he has been kidnapped, but then Patty, a kind of senior member in their gang, tells them that he's kind of made a deal to get Tom back, and he thinks it's a pretty good deal, so it's pretty likely that he'll come back. So his brother Mike is kind of, he's bearing the news that he's been kidnapped in the first place. His mom is very excited to have his son back from the hospital. She thinks that he's just about to get back, and so we see a lot of scenes of her just, like I'm gonna make his bed so it's all nice for him.
As soon as that stuff starts, I'm like, oh no, this is gonna end real badly. Like it's very ominous. This whole section where it's like they've gotten word that it's like, oh no, like we're getting him back. Like they let him go. Like he'll be here any minute, and I'm just like, oof, this is. Something bad is about to happen.
So they get a knock on the door, and he's like, that must be him. And then you see a bruised and bloody corpse of our main character.
Wrapped up in like burlap bags and
just rigid from rigor mortis. And then he just flops down through the open door.
Collapses face first through the doorway. And it's a real stunt. Like, it's Cagney just, like, falling face first. It looks like he's, like, padded up, but still.
Yeah.
And then, his brother is, like, he's got this 1,000-yard stare, and he's walking away, presumably to, like, he then has to tell the rest of his family that he's here, he's dead.
Your
they
dead
did
son
kill him.
Is in the door. This was, like, some real shocking violence. Like, I saw his corpse, and I knew this was coming, too. But, like, I saw his corpse, and I was like, damn.
I think it's not even really violence. It's just the implication of violence. We see his like bruised, bloodied face, and it's like that's all. We don't see people beating him to death or like. It's just this.
He looks like Laura Palmer.
Yeah, wrapped in pillows. And the last shot of the movie is the record finishing. The record that's been playing a song under this whole scene finally finishes, and just see the needle kind of on the empty space at the end of the record. Great way to end the movie. Because then the song that's playing on the record is the same song that plays over the opening credits. So sort of bookends,
It's like poetry, it rhymes.
Exactly. I watched one of the sort of DVD featurettes about this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And in it, Martin Scorsese talks about he saw this and Little Caesar on the same day when he was 10, which explains a lot.
Yes, it does.
I feel
it does.
The Public Enemy especially has some real kind of Goodfellas vibes.
Mm-hmm.
With the way it sort of delves a little bit deeper into like the actual kind of lifestyle, not so much just the crimes themselves, but like kind of a bit more of the appeal and it being a much more kind of sympathetic look of like, why would someone even do this?
Right.
Also, a thing that Scorsese brings up is how all the music in this movie, like all the early talkies that we've seen, all the music in it is diegetic, except for like opening and closing credits.
Except the weird thing is, like, the one movie that we've seen that has had non-diegetic music has been Broadway Melody.
Right. Yeah.
And not even just for the musical numbers, I think. It had some like actual non-diegetic score.
Yeah.
But yeah, it became uncommon.
Is that where Scorsese got this from? He seemed to imply that it kind of was, of like, oh, you can just have music that the characters are listening to playing throughout the whole movie. And it's like, you don't need to score. You just can score it with actual songs that the characters would listen to, even if they're diegetic or non-diegetic. So, I don't know, him pointing that out, I thought was like a cool thing of like, oh shit, that is like precedent being set by this movie. It's not being set by this movie, but
it is an actual needle drop soundtrack.
Yeah, very much so. Which the lack of score is kind of weird that almost none of these early talkies have score of any of any kind.
Yeah.
Which I think might be a thing until like King Kong. Because I was just reading about King Kong recently, which came out in 1933, and how like the score for that movie was like such a revelation that it had this like big bombastic expressive score throughout almost the whole movie. I'm like, damn, I'd never thought about that before, but that might be. I'm now curious to see if we watch anything from 1932 that has a score like King Kong's or not, because yeah, King Kong feels like it has a very proper like film score to it, and like a lot of scenes in that movie have music over them.
Yeah, I'm less of a King Kong person than you.
Well, yeah, I bought the Life magazine King Kong edition at a
for the
Hudson
podcast
News.
Listeners, he's holding up the Life magazine King Kong edition to the camera.
The Life magazine King Kong edition, which I saw it at Hudson News, and I was like, well, I can't not buy this. The actual
you're the exact sucker that like it's just like, the Life magazine of Kenny G. Everybody who's heard of Kenny G buy a magazine about him.
It's true. It's funny that some of the glossy pics in this are clearly very low resolution, and it's funny.
Oh wow!
You couldn't get a higher res JPEG of King Kong punching Godzilla in the face.
I love low resolution like images in like official signage. That is like one of my aesthetics. Something that I love is when I go into a diner and they have like
the menu is super low res.
Yeah,
all the pictures are like you can see the pixels.
Yeah, you can see the transparency artifacts like on the edges of these really low res picture of a soda cup. I love that. That's my favorite stuff.
Oh boy. I mean, you go to enough diners, you're going to see a lot of that stuff.
Yeah. This is a complete tangent, but I might have mentioned this to you before, but one of my favorite diner menus ever, my favorite diner menu ever, was at the Mohegan Diner in Peekskill. And for years, for a long time, they had a photo, or not a photo, like a image, like a drawn image of the United States of America on the back of the menu. It said, God bless America. And it was one of those kind of multicolored maps where every state was a different color. And so it had the state name, and then it had the capitals of every state too. Very educational map, except the capitals of Washington and Oregon were swapped on the map. So, and I thought I was losing my damn mind. Like,
was it like a Mandela effect thing where you're just like, in my universe, these are different?
Seriously, it was like I don't know how you go about having an image of a map that has just the wrong state capitals on it.
At least they're close together, right? You know, it wasn't like Oregon and Florida capitals are swapped. You know, it's like, I guess that's an easier mistake to make.
But it was like Seattle, Oregon, and what's the capital of Oregon? I don't know.
Portland? I don't know.
Portland, Washington.
Washington.
It made you feel like you were losing your mind when you looked at it.
Yeah.
And the thing that really made me feel like I was losing my mind was one day I came one day I came back to the diner and it was the same image, but the capitals were right.
Oh, so they fixed it.
I guess they fixed it with very little fanfare, although I don't know why they would just put a sign up that says, we fixed our menu. They had
a lot of fanfare.
I told so many people, I was like, oh, come with me to this diner. Their menu, their America's backwards.
Oh, no. And then you went there and it wasn't.
And I went there and it wasn't.
You look like a fool.
And it made me feel like, was I just dreaming this whole time? I've come to this diner like a number of times at like 3 a.m, as is the best time to come to a diner. Mm-hmm. You're bleary-eyed, you're tired. Maybe it was me the whole time, right?
Oh, boy.
But I was like, I thought it was so weird that I took a picture of it, and I couldn't find that picture for the longest time, but then I did. I found a picture of the backwards menu at that diner, and I was like, you snuck it. You tried to sneak away, but I have evidence.
A secret weird Lynchian thing where if you go to that diner after 3 a.m., it's swapped, but if you go any other time, it looks normal.
That could be it.